Hello and welcome back to another episode of Complete Rider Motorcycle Review. In this episode we take a look at the industry-changing Kawasaki ZZR1100 of 1992, or as our American friends like to call it, the Ninja ZX11. Actually, it'd be probably ZX11. This nearly 30-year-old bike has to be one of the best bang for your buck bikes you can buy in 2022. In fact, at between 4,000 to 5,000 Aussie dollars for a real good one, it's a travesty to not have one in the shed, and I'm about to show you why, and then we'll give it a review. What's a review, I hear you say? Well, we'll rev up the tacho and give it a completely 100% biased and unscientific score, kinda like this. Let's go way back to 1992, and Nirvana's Nevermind was the #1 on the US Billboard charts, and it changed the music world forever. November Rain by Guns N' Roses, at just under 9 minutes long and 3 awesome guitar solos, also hit the top 10 worldwide and was certainly better than some of the other rubbish being played on the radio at the time, like I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt or Achy Breaky Heart. And I was starting to fall in love with what would be the love of my life. No, not Pamela Anderson, although, and not my wife for that matter. No, I'm talking about motorcycles, and especially the Kawasaki ZZR range. And that's what we have here today, a 1992 Kawasaki ZZR1100 C3. And it was a bike that really did change the motorcycling world for the better. For 6 years, from its release in 1990 to late 1995, it held the mantle of the world's fastest production motorcycle, with a top speed of 283 kilometers an hour or 176 miles per hour. But even then, it wasn't exactly thrashed by the Honda CBR 1100 Super Blackbird at 290 kilometers an hour or 180 miles per hour. It wasn't really until 2000 that the Hayabusa put them all to shame with a 313 kilometer or 194 mile per hour top speed. And then came the so-called gentleman's agreement that put a stop to the fun at 300 kilometers an hour, for a little while at least. And the ZZR really was a Taproot bike for me, as it started my life's obsession with motorcycles. So let's get into the review. From 1990 onwards, Kawasaki released the mighty ZZR1100 or Ninja ZX11 in the States, and at the time it was, in my opinion, the best and most modern looking motorcycle by a long shot. Most of its peers were still sporting the classic twin headlight front. Now don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of them, and in fact the late 80s is my favourite era of motorcycles, but by the early 90s it had had its day. And let's not even discuss the BMW R100 RS, a great bike, but look at it compared to the ZZR. No, I'd seen the future of motorcycling and I liked what I saw. And it was at this point that my life changed forever. I mean, look at those lines, just perfection, with those integrated indicators front and rear. The headlight that followed the fairings curve up to the perfectly sculptured screen. So well proportioned that it made us ask the question, did Honda go a bit too far with the CBR 600 jelly mold? But twin chrome pipes, large for its day rear tyre, and integrated brake light and indicators, which admittedly some don't like as much as the later D model's rounder look, but I for one love both, as it was the start of designers styling boring, must-have parts like brake lights, indicators, mirrors and headlights to accentuate the bike's lines and complement the look, not just plonk them on there for legal reasons. The proof that they got it right was the fact that this basic style sold in good numbers all over the world through to 2001 with only minor cosmetic and colour changes. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, it's free, and the more I get, the more love the YouTube machine will show me. Pushing this 228 kilogram or 512 pound beast along is a 1052 inline 4-cylinder double overhead cam liquid cooled motor that made a cool 147 horsepower at 10,000 RPM and 110 Newton meters of torque. The ZZR1100 proceeded fuel injection with its 4 Keelan carbies, 6-speed gearbox and chain drive. Old school, yes, but good enough to get it to 283 kilometers an hour and a 10.1 second quarter mile. It was a real treat in 1990. In fact, I remember a co-worker at the time telling me that when he twisted the throttle on for the first time hard, like he would in his old 250, he absolutely shat himself and froze like a deer in the headlights. Hi Johnny, if you're watching, I bet you're still riding a ZZR. Stopping was great for its day, with twin 320mm discs up front and 4 piston calipers, and a single 240mm disc with a single piston caliper down the rear, which is still more than adequate today. This particular example spent most of its life in Japan and came to Australia with a 4-into-1 period aftermarket exhaust. But it just so happened that a work colleague of the owner had a near new full OE exhaust system that had been sitting in his shed for the last 25 years, as you do. So a deal was done to get it back on a bike. Thanks, Steve. And it really does set the bike off. I was lucky enough to ride the bike before and after, and the difference in smooth power delivery was very noticeable. What's the pièce de résistance? Well, it's got to be the groundbreaking for its time ram air induction system. This was the first time a sealed ram air system was used on a production motorcycle, which means that its inlet pipe runs directly to a large sealed airbox, ramming air and fuel into the carbies. The faster you go, the more ram effect there is, and the more power is produced, with Kawasaki touting a possible 10 horsepower increase at top speed. And it looks damn cool as well. This C model had 1 inlet and the later D model sported 2. Either way, they look awesome and were a massive talking point at the time. What's it like to ride? Well, for a 30-year-old bike, it's pretty darn good. It does all you'd expect of a sports tourer. Yes, it can feel a bit weighty at times, but that's fine. Its 780mm or 30.7 inch seat height is perfect for a multitude of rider sizes. And you really sit into the bike, not on it, if you know what I mean. It will certainly keep up with most modern motorcycles in the right hands. Overtaking is a breeze, as at 100 kilometers an hour to 140 is literally a flick of a wrist. And I love the way this old school bike makes its power compared to modern bikes. Maybe it's in my head, but modern EFI bikes with their ride modes and ride-by-wire just seem so clinically smooth to ride, which is great. But with the ZZR1100, it's a raw power delivery that lets you know you're on a beast and you are living life to the max, and I for one love that feeling. It's comfortable for all day touring, but nimble enough for commuting, and in fact, I know I always say this, but I really did fall in love with it. So let's have a quick spin to show you why. time to give it a review. Yep, that's the red line. It had to be. In fact, not only did I love this bike, but I also actually fell in love with the ZZR all over again. So much so that some 25 years after I sold my last ZZR, I've just popped on a great condition 1999 1100. What can I say? With second-hand prices at a real low, I just couldn't resist. And I can't wait to do some videos to show you what I have in store for my new sub 5,000 Australian dollar toy. But shh, don't tell the wife, she might get jealous. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment with your ZZR love stories. Bye for now.